Dr. Fauci, this is the fastest vaccine in human history. People want to know, did we undermine the safety of the vaccine because it was done so fast and without long-term studies?
Okay, so that's a great question. It's the most commonly asked question. There was no cutting corners. Safety was not compromised. Scientific integrity was not compromised. And I think people need to understand that the speed was related completely to the breathtaking scientific advances that had been made over the previous 10 or more years, where you can get the genetic sequence of the virus, which then take that sequence and insert the appropriate gene into these very new and unbelievably efficient vaccine platforms. And that didn't sacrifice any safety at all. That was purely a technological advance. Then the Moderna trial was 30,000 people. The Pfizer trial was 44,000 people. And it happened to be taking place in the middle of a ferocious outbreak. So when you're trying to prove a vaccine works and there are just a few infections here and there in society, it could take 7 years to get a vaccine. There were so many infections that we went from sequence to getting the vaccine in people's arms in less than a year. That is historic, but it's historic from a scientific standpoint. There was absolutely no cutting of corners at all.
So you're saying that there's no chance that there's some weird side effects that are going to pop up 3 years down the road?
The chance of that happening is spectacularly low. And let me tell you why. If you look at the history of all vaccinology and you say, when did these so-called longer-term effects occur? The overwhelming majority, 90+% of them, occur between 30 and 45 days after the vaccine trial ends. That is the reason why the FDA said that in order to make an emergency use authorization, you had to wait 60 days from the time 50% of the people in the trial got their last dose. So if you wait 60 days, you're already beyond when essentially all of the long-term effects occur. I've never seen one where I get vaccinated in 1982 and I get a toxic effect in 1986. I mean, I've never seen that happen with any vaccine.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, I'm gonna ask you a question here. Can I still infect someone else after I get the vaccine? And do I have to keep wearing a mask after I get it?
The answer is yes, and I'll explain why. It is still conceivable that you could get infected and be asymptomatic. And even though the vaccine protected you from getting sick, it didn't protect you from getting infected. So you may not even know that you're infected and be completely asymptomatic and then spread it to somebody else.
I think that's been the scariest part of this whole pandemic, is that I could totally have it and not know, and that terrifies me.
We can pull back on masks when we get such an overwhelming proportion of the population is vaccinated that there's herd immunity, which means that the level of virus is so low that it's not a threat.
What percentage of people need to get the vaccine for us to achieve that?
You know, we don't know the exact number, but we can make a back of the envelope calculations that it's somewhere between 70 and 85% of the population needs to be vaccinated to get herd immunity.
Here's, some people, there's a lot of people talking about things out there. Some people think maybe it would be easier to just achieve herd immunity by letting the virus spread rampantly through the population. What do you think about that?
Okay, well, that's maybe the worst idea.
Okay.
I don't want to compare it to anything. I don't want to insult anybody.
It's not my question. It's just a question that I read that I'm relaying to you because you're the expert.
Do you read it on Facebook, Keith?
I did read it on Facebook.
The general level of herd immunity right now in the country, the last time the CDC looked at it was like 10%, 12%. Some cities like New York, it was 22% because New York got hit so badly in the beginning. So let's say that the level in the country today, let's say it's 20%. So with 20% of the people infected, we've already had 352,000 deaths. To get to 80, you'd have to have 4 times as many people. So are you willing to accept 1.2 million deaths in order to get to herd immunity? I don't think so. So the road to herd immunity is a vaccine, not just letting people get infected.
And how soon after getting the vaccine would I be immune?
So let's say you get vaccinated and then 21 to 28 days later you get a boost. Anywhere from 10 to 14 days following the boost, you can consider yourself